Hi again, I'm Dr. Omid Naeem, an integrative child and adolescent psychiatrist from LeMaitre Project. So what does it mean for an organization like McKinley to see itself as an ecosystem that supports optimal health and healing from trauma? To understand an ecological lens, we can think about what it's like to buy a houseplant. When we buy a houseplant, it always comes with a card stuck inside, the How to Care for the Plant card. Where does that come from? All organisms are studied in science through an ecological lens, except for human beings. What that means is that scientists study what are the natural conditions that this organism evolved to thrive in. What are the normal conditions that this organism needs to be optimally healthy? Those are the conditions that we require to heal from trauma. Remember, trauma is our heritage. It is not unique to those people that we see are sick or struggling. We all go through trauma. Hardship and stress are actually things we need to grow and build resilience. We have the innate capacity to heal. Like a broken bone, we have the capacity to heal within us under the proper conditions. An ecological lens explains the whole system that we evolved to have those conditions operate at their best. So in an ecosystem that promotes health, everyone understands the impact of trauma. It all starts with story, and it all starts with values. So here's what it means to see an organization like McKinley as an ecosystem. It means each and every one of us who are functioning day to day in this environment, we are part of that ecosystem. Imagine when you enter into any environment, whether it's a store or a company or it's a family, you watch how each person conducts themselves and how they treat each other. What you're seeing is what they value. What that means is that every individual in the organization, from the bottom to the top, understand that we all experience stress, toxic levels of it, and trauma in our lives, and that we all have the innate capacity to heal. It also means that we understand that the symptoms and the behaviors that we struggle with, the symptoms and behaviors that we see the youth and families struggle with, that we are here to help with, are all manifestations of a story from their past that is still living in a sensitized nervous system or a frozen, immobile nervous system, awaiting the conditions to release. An ecosystem that promotes healing and health implements daily practices. Remember, early childhood trauma responds to daily, patterned, repetitive bodily practices. Somatosensory practices, which means mind-body practices that engage the body in rhythmic exercises, starting from the mother's heartbeat to the rising and the falling of the sun and the moon. Our brainstem regulates to patterns in the world, physical patterns. That's why practices like yoga, meditation, breath work, or journaling, exercise, walking, all of these practices were evolved in order to engage the mind and the body in a daily, patterned, repetitive way, because that's what the brainstem optimally lives off of. And what also supports brainstem functioning is proper nutrition, whole foods. The physical environment affects the brainstem. Beauty, space, healing environments affect our brainstem, help us feeling safe, soothed, and at ease. That's the importance of self-care in this model. We must be regulated in order to help others. And so the whole ecosystem needs to be supported through self-regulation and self-care. And when we do that right, we're able to then move to the other part of the ecosystem, relationships. As mammals, we evolve to thrive in deeply interdependent relationships of reciprocity, authenticity, and belonging. We must be able to attune to ourselves and each other through that lens of what it is to truly connect as a mammal, is to be connected and to attune to each other. And when we authentically connect, we can come from a trauma-informed stance. What do we mean by that? That means when we're self-regulated, we know our own story, and we know that trauma is a human condition, and we can see the struggle in others through the story of our own lives. Finally, when we focus on connecting through relationships, then we can generate stories of healing. Then we can generate stories that help each other make better decisions, value things like self-regulation, value belonging in community, and value trauma-informed principles. There is a need for a diversity of perspectives. We need to know each other's experience to connect and to storytell. What are the values that govern their lives? How does this environment function? So each and every one of us has a role to play at McKinley. How we conduct ourselves through self-care and personal responsibility. How we treat each other through human values of reciprocity, care, compassion, and kindness. How we conduct ourselves in terms of story and values. Do we live up to our values? Do we have values that understand trauma? All of those things communicate moment to moment to each and every person who's part of that ecosystem. So we and all of us are part of that ecosystem. And that's what optimizes the environment, when the whole ecosystem sees itself as essential. Whether it's food, whether it's daily activities, whether it's how we care for the space and the environment, the physical health being a reflection of how we care for our physical environment, whether it's our culture and our values. So every dimension of what's happening at McKinley matters. Whole foods and nutrition, daily activities, space and environment, relationships, values, culture, management. All of these things matter, as well as the clinical services that we're providing. When we see McKinley as an organization becoming an ecosystem of health, we witness ourselves as a part of something that can transform people's lives.